Robert, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. So in your talk, you said that I don't create Manhattan. So I'm interested in this question of how how this witness relates to physical reality. They have to interact in some way. Um, does this have any physical consequence at all? What is the nature of reality?
Right. Let me give you the answer in one proposition, and then I'll expand it if necessary. Um, it is that alone. Let's not call it the witness. Let's just call it consciousness or being consciousness, which appears as reality, what we call reality. So that would be reality, and what we are experiencing as reality is an appearance of that reality. Now, a good way of understanding this would be our dream paradigm again. In our dream paradigm, suppose I'm walking around in Manhattan. The guy walking around in Manhattan, in the dream, I don't know I'm dreaming. The guy walking around in Manhattan, I'm actually not creating Manhattan. It's the dreamer, who's safely in bed and who's dreaming in this entire thing, is the one who's creating Manhattan in the dream, and also the subject, the person walking around in Manhattan in the dream. To put it in more philosophical terms, it's not subjective idealism in like Berkeley would have it. It's not that the mind imagining matter. Rather, both mind and matter are appearances in one, like field of existence consciousness, let's say. So the subject and the object are both appearing. It's not that the object is imagined by the subject. That would be subjective idealism. That would be like Berkeley, or in ancient India, the Vijnanavada Buddhists, who admitted to mind only without, like matter is in mind. But Advaita Vedanta is not like that. In fact, the classical Advaitins go to a great extent to distinguish themselves from the Vijnanavada idealists. So much so that some of Shankara's arguments seem like an argument for realism, that there is a world apart from the subject. Because what he wants to show is the subject and the object are appearances of one existence consciousness.
Well, I mean, I guess does your view have any cash value, as Searle likes to say, in terms of physics? Is there anything? Yeah.
Oh, well, multiple things. For example, I don't know about, I'm not directly, you'll have to do that work of relating it to physics, how it would relate. I'm very far from understanding physics, but to me, it seems there are multiple things which become easily explainable or much easier when you accept the Advaitic perspective. For example, the first person experience. Why is it that we are unable to explain first-person experience from any kind of scientific perspective so far? I mean, in principle, there seems to be no way into it now. So Advaita Vedanta would say, because it is fundamental, consciousness is fundamental. That's what it does. It gives you a first-person experience in conjunction with object. When consciousness comes in contact with object, you get a first-person experience. One philosopher, Professor Arindam Chakravarti, put it rather wittily. He said, what is object? Imagine this field of consciousness, unlimited consciousness. An object is something that objects to consciousness. And so we end up seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, So these are entities which sort of object to consciousness. But from an Advaitic perspective, they are all arisings in consciousness itself. So first-person experience, cash value, first-person experience. Second, in panpsychism, in subjective idealism, in Sankhya philosophy, in all of these, anywhere you have a tinge of dualism, you are faced with the problem of interaction, which is what Descartes, for example, he ended up with, talking. There was this lady who was very clever. She was a princess who wrote to Descartes, asking him how this this mind, which is how does it get in touch with the body? So he would go through the pineal gland. Sometimes he talked about airs being pushed around by thought and so on. So that just shows how mind-body dualism, any kind of dualism, runs into a problem of interaction. Advaitic approach is non-dual, so it actually solves the problem of interaction, because The consciousness which is aware of the object, which interacts with the mind and the body and the senses, but the mind, body, senses, and the objects they reveal are nothing but that consciousness. Consciousness is appearing as its own object, just like a dream. For example, a dream is pretty non-dual because everything that you see in the dream and the person who is seeing in the dream, all of them are the same reality, which is the dreamer's mind. From the dreamer's mind's perspective, every content of the dream is non-dual. That is, it has no separate existence from the dreaming mind. Similarly, from this being consciousness, because Vedanta will always use these terms as existence awareness. This existence awareness is non-dual. So the mind which experiences and what it experiences, both are ultimately the same reality. Hence, in principle, there is no problem of interaction.
Thank you.